But in the back of my mind, I hear this little voice saying, you're out of alignment. You're not fulfilling your purpose. You were made for something else. This is not where you're supposed to be anymore. So I've been in this place before where I know that it's time to make a life shift. I have built and unraveled and rebuilt my life multiple times, especially in the last 20 years. Professionally, I've worked in public education, higher education, I've worked in logistics, I've worked in financial technology, I've even worked as a natural hairstylist. I've moved across the United States, I've left the United States and worked in the United Kingdom. When I was in the United Kingdom, I went there as a single woman. When we returned to the United States, I was married and pregnant. So I have gone through these major life shifts over and over and over and again. And through all of that, I have learned a few different things about reinventing myself. The first thing is that I didn't need a long-term plan. And you don't either. If you're in the position where you're looking to make a pivot, make a shift in life, you don't have to know the beginning from the end right now. You need a general vision of where you want to go, and then you need to know what your next step is going to be. And sometimes you don't even know exactly what that next step is going to be. You have a few different ideas, but you have to take a step. One of the ways that I have learned to take steps is to lean into my strengths. When I was looking to move from being a high school teacher to a corporate trainer, I did some research. So I leaned into my learner strength, and I did some research and discovered American Society for Trainers and Developers. It has a new name now, Association for Talent Development, I think. I looked into a local chapter. I contacted the VP of membership. I told her what I was trying to do. She told me to join the chapter and to come to the next meeting, and she would introduce me to some local business owners. I did what she told me to do, and she held up her end of the bargain. So I was able to jumpstart my career in learning and development because I leaned into my learner strength, and then I leaned into my relator strength to make that personal connection and ask for help. If you are somebody who has strategic as your top strength, you might think about a problem in the industry or the area that you're thinking about, and come up with a new strategy that you want to share with others, that you want to test out. You figure out what your next step is by understanding what your strengths are. So you're not just lifting and shifting somebody else's plan, you're doing what feels authentic to you to help you know how to move forward. So you don't need a long-term plan, you need a general vision, and then you need to take a step. Feeling confused about your career isn't a crisis. So there have been times where I have felt like I was having a crisis because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do next. I felt plagued by options. That might sound dramatic because, some people don't have very many options, but when you have a lot of options, you can get stuck in analysis paralysis. You're thinking, well, I could do this, or I could do this, or I could do this. And then you end up doing nothing because you're not sure which path to take. So feeling confused is not a crisis. It just means that you have outgrown your current space and you need to take on a new challenge where you are, or you might need a new space. The first step is to stop thinking that something is wrong, or that you are failing, or that you are having a major crisis because you don't know what to do next. You're not. It's normal. It just means that you need to take another step. And the third thing is you're not flaky just because you like to do a lot of different things. So we're not of the generation that is going to stay in one place for a long time. In fact, a lot of companies now are discouraged it, or they look at you as if, what's wrong with you? Why haven't you moved? So you're not flaky because you like to do a lot of different things. And I'm willing to bet that if you take stock of the different moves that you've made, the different jobs that you've had, even if they're vastly different, there's probably still a common thread that links all of them together. There's a common thread that weaves your strengths in all of the different things that you are doing. So what you need to do is filter out what is for now and what's for later, and also figure out how to tell the story. I think sometimes we get frustrated, or we get maybe embarrassed by all the changes we've made because we cannot communicate or articulate how this path has enabled us to do whatever the next thing is. Some people might say, well, you haven't done this for this long, or you've done all these different things. You don't have a big body of expertise. You've got a lot of general things, or you're a jack of all trades. If you can articulate the story in between each of your moves, I'm willing to bet that you be able to explain how you're capable of whatever it is that you want to do next. When you're a person who is multi-passionate, there are a lot of transferable skills that you're leveraging in each move. And so while you may not be an expert in just one thing, being a generalist allows you to bring a lot of fresh perspective to new areas. And sometimes a fresh perspective is what is needed. So don't feel like you're a flake or like you are less than, or that you're missing something, or that you've missed the bus, or you've made some bad decisions because you have tried multiple things. So for the past few years, I have forced myself to be complacent, or I have allowed myself to get complacent out of a combination of fear, indecision, being comfortable, in the way that things are going. But I have felt this internal unrest, this discomfort, this stagnancy that has plagued my mind, so I'll try to say, just chill out, just sit down, relax, and let life happen the way that it's happening. Everything is fine, everything is okay. But in the back of my mind, I hear this little voice saying, you're out of alignment. You're not fulfilling your purpose. You were made for something else. This is not where you're supposed to be anymore. So I've had this internal dialogue and this internal battle about what my next steps were going to be. So even though I've tried to tell myself to just sit down and be comfortable, I think in songs, so in my head I hear, sit down, be humble. Anyway, I think back to the first time that I saw my CliftonStrengths report, and I said, oh my gosh, I feel so seen. And now I know why I have no chill. I'm not wired to chill. The way my strengths are set up, there's no chill in there. I have a combination of strengths that mean that I'm constantly looking to do and go and learn and explore and repeat that cycle over and over again. In this age and stage where I'm more mindful of my time, I'm more mindful of how I'm using my energy, I'm more mindful of who I allow in my space and the energy I allow in my space and where I'm going, there are lots of things that my tolerance for is consistently and continuously shrinking. So I find myself often thinking, ain't nobody got time for that. You playing in my face, and I ain't got time for that. So the more that I feel that happening in my mind and in my soul, especially in the space that I'm in, I know that it's time for me to leave that space so that I can get back into alignment with who I'm supposed to be in this season. If this video gave you something to think about, don't stop here. Join my email list to get clarity tools, strengths-based strategies, and exclusive invitations to my free workshops delivered straight to your inbox. You'll also be the first to know when the next round of my Career Clarity Experience workshop opens up. So go ahead, click the link below, and get on the list.